So today, Hotfix 113 just came out, and I was so excited that I actually stayed awake until 4 in the morning to test everything out. The only two things that I paid attention to are Kyle and Esiemo buffs, since they're my favorite Descendants. They buffed them so much that you can now pretty much one-shot any of the lower tier bosses if you're using a critical damage build. And not just that, but they also made it so that other Transcendent mods are now so much better that I'm actually having fun using them. So the number one thing that I like the most about the new Kyle update is his superconductivity thruster. I'm not sure what they changed about the damage, but now it does way more, and plus, it now consumes a fixed amount of magnetic force instead of a percentage, so you just need to get more shield and minus skill cost to drop more bombs. They also made it so that your shoulder dash is now spammable without the fixed interval in between the dashes. And it also regenerates your magnetic force on the initial use, so you can pretty much regenerate 1/4 of your magnetic force when you hit something with it. The same buff concept also applies to your second skill, which is the Goofy Walking Shield, as you can now regenerate magnetic force while holding the shield up without needing any projectiles to hit it. And lastly, his third skill, which I wouldn't really call it a buff, since they nerfed the cooldown by a lot, because it was 15 seconds before, and now they turned it into a 30-second skill, so you can't spam it anymore. And in exchange for that, they increased the range by 2 more meters, gave it a bit more damage, and recovers shield. Overall, I'm happy with the new superconductivity thruster, since it's kind of fun to fly around and dropping bombs, right? Moving on to Esiemo, he probably got the biggest buff this patch, as not only they gave him more damage, but he also received more fixes on his animation, so you can do things way faster now. His passive now procs when you get hit instead of when your shield gets depleted, so this could be useful when clearing mobs. Your first skill is now usable while sprinting, as well as having increased projectile speed on it, and I think they also reduced the casting interval in between bombs. Your second skill, which is used to detonate your bombs, now has shorter animation, and they also reduced its cooldown, as well as making it costing no MP. And the cluster bomb variant of it now also affects the damage stacking, which it didn't previously. And they also buff it to spawn more bombs on detonation, as well as making it not having the long delay before explosion, although its range got reduced. The guided landmine, which is your third skill, is now usable while moving. And you can also cast it way faster now, and it also takes a lot longer to automatically detonate itself when attached on an enemy. So you can expect to overstack the landmine and do a huge burst of damage at once with like 20 bombs. They also fixed his silly variant of the mod to properly affect his HP and defense, and they also turned it into a stackable skill, as well as reducing its cooldown. His fourth skill receives a massive buff that adds a 25% increase in skill power with the Madness buff after using the skill. And they also add another 4 seconds to the buff so that you have more uptime on the skill power increase. The Transcendent variant of it also got a huge buff that allows you to stack your second ability up to 10 times instead of 8 times. What the skill does is that it consumes all bomb stacks you currently have to increase its damage when you use it. So now they buff the damage per stack so that it does a flat percentage damage increase instead of skill power modifier like before,